started.
We are. Can you believe it? Can you believe that we actually have a season 2?
I know, I can't believe we have a season 2. I'm still kind of shocked we had a season 1.
Well, you got to start with, usually you start with 1.
Start with 1, and then enough people watched that we thought, well, maybe we'll have a season 2.
And here we are.
And here we are with season 2.
We'll see how long this season goes. But
well, how long did the last one go?
We started in the fall, right?
Yeah,
and we went all the way
June or May?
No, mid-August. Remember?
Oh, I think next year we'll just go to type May.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see where we are.
Yeah, we can always readjust and reimagine and rethink, right?
Reimagine, rethink, that's right. So, if you're watching this and you see that I look like a vampire, I'm struggling with allergies, and it actually looks better than it did Saturday. But yeah, allergies and weepy eyes, and it's not pink eye, so I'm not transferring pink eye into anybody's
exactly.
deal.
That's probably a good thing.
Now, I do not at the start of season 2. I do not have a set of books to hawk.
Yes. Yep.
For other people.
Yeah.
Not for me, but there will be some as we go through it. So, and I think these are going to be a little shorter than last year's, right?
The shorter book. Yes. Yeah. We're hoping to do about a half hour.
Half hour.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I should look at the clock right now. Half hour from now. Okay.
See what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Maybe we go 22 minutes. That'd be crazy.
Is that a holy number, or is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, it's double 11. Middle of 11. Yeah, doesn't matter. We're fine.
No.
But we're going to start with Ruth.
Yeah.
And so in our worship life, we're starting a capital campaign.
I've heard something about that.
You have, yes, you have. And we're going to focus on what I think is a book filled with generosity. Although it doesn't start out that way. It starts out with scarcity.
Well, there needs to be problems and struggles in order for there to be opportunities for generosities.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And this story has backstory after backstory after backstory that we don't really know.
Okay.
We don't really focus on. Because in Ruth, we focus on that major promise. I'll go where you go. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Where you are buried, I will be buried right next to you. Major promise. And we're going to see what happens with that promise. But we start out in the first couple verses of Ruth with some really rich stuff. But I'm going to put it in a timeline real quick. So we've been through Genesis through Deuteronomy. And I think the end of season 1, we talked about not jumping in really into Joshua or Judges until I can get a better handle on it. Still haven't gotten a better handle on it. However, Ruth is going to end up being during the time of the Judges. So, creation, partnership. God tries to find partners. Finds a partner, not a perfect partner, but a partner in Abraham. And all of a sudden, this family begins to grow and grow and grow into tribes. And at some point down the road, it will be a nation. But it's not a nation yet. It's still just tribes.
Mm-hmm.
But quite large, and 12 tribes. And we see them moving, learning how to be God's people. And Moses is leading them. And there are some situations that keep Moses from going into the promised land. But he dies, still a strong man. Still a strong man, but he dies, and Joshua brings the people into the promised land, where a bunch of hard stuff happens that it's hard for our modern Jesus-following sensibilities to kind of unpack.
Yeah.
And then we go into the time of the judges, because there are not kings yet. So the time of the judges, and probably the famous judge is Samson.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's super strong.
Long hair,
long hair, kills lots of enemies with a donkey bone, the jawbone of a donkey, all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Delilah comes along, cuts his hair, he can't, all this kind of stuff. But so this Ruth, the story of Ruth, takes place in the time of the judges.
Okay.
So we're not sure if it's which judge is kind of helping what tribe do what, because there's no king. And every tribe would have had judges that would help, or there'd be judges that would help tribes decide disputes and those kinds of things. And some of these judges are protectors and all of that. They kind of go to war on behalf of the people. So that's what's going on with this, with the book of Ruth. But we don't start out with Ruth. We start out with a different family. And so I'm going to walk through some names. They're going to mean something next week.
Okay.
They're going to mean a lot more next week. So I won't give it away this week. But if people want to read ahead, feel free to read ahead, because it's already out there. It's already been written.
Right.
And it's not a long book. It's 4 chapters. But so much in there. There's a lot in there. So we're going to take that out. So we're going to have a name, Elimelech, which means God is king. That is the husband of Naomi. Naomi means sweet or pleasant.
Yeah.
But after Naomi comes back from where she was, she changes her name. We'll leave it there. We won't go there. We'll leave it there.
Okay.
Surprise. But you can read ahead and you can figure out what's going on. It's all in chapter 1. Then they have 2 sons. And one son is Mahlon, which means sickness. And the other is Chilion, which means destruction. Foretelling.
Seems like
to
a
be foretelling. Yep. And then there's 2 other names, Orpah, which means nape, which is the back of the neck. A little bit of foretelling there. Of course, you can read ahead and figure out what that means. And then the name Ruth, which there isn't really consensus on what her name means.
Okay.
I mean, you can Google it and somebody will tell you, this is what it means. But if you read a lot of the scholars, they're not really sure. So it could mean friendship. It could mean well-watered. Like a plant that's well-watered, like our plant
like
here.
Like our fake plant.
This has been fake the whole time?
Yes.
It looks so good. That's because it's fake. And then, or it could mean fertile or fertile, which that's foretelling as well, because something's going to happen there. And then we get to the place where the early family, Elimelech, Naomi, and the boys are living. And they're living in Bethlehem of Judah, which means house of bread. And there are different Bethlehems. And they say Bethlehem of Judah because wherever grain is being harvested, that city would be called House of Bread. So there's another Bethlehem. But at the moment, there doesn't seem to be enough bread in Bethlehem. There is a famine in the land. And what happens when a famine when a famine occurs, you have everybody keeping everything to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really share with other families because you may not have enough. And that's what's happening in the house of bread. It's quite possible that if families would have gotten together in that tribe, this is all within one tribe.
Okay.
This is the tribe of Judah. If the tribe of Judah could have gotten together and said, hey, we want to live into the Mosaic law of making sure that there's enough for everyone, we can share. So there could have been a sense of generosity, but there wasn't. It was a sense of, I don't have enough, so I'm not going to give. And it's a direct contrast to Jesus feeding the 5,000. The disciples say, there's not enough. Send everybody away. And in the story, there was a little guy, with a little bit of fish and a little bit of bread. And a lot of scholars in our day and our time talk about the sense of generosity that little guy had that prompted everybody else to have a sense of generosity, and that's how everybody was fed. That it wasn't a magic trick that Jesus said, poof, now here's food. But the miracle was people began to dig in their own travel lunch boxes and started to give to others. So there's a couple of different ways to think about it. If you want to go the magic route, that's okay too. The true miracle, I think, in any story that happens between two people, the true magic, if you want to say, is someone says, I'll be generous. Whether it's generous with food, financial, time, love, hugs, that kind of stuff. So there isn't enough. There's not a sense of generosity in the house of bread. So they have to leave, and they go to Moab. Moab is a country that's right across from Judah. And it would take about, to go down around the lake, it would take probably 7 to 10 days to get there.
Oh, wow.
So that'll come into the picture in a different week. And they enter into a nation called Moab that has a crazy history and is not necessarily friendly to the tribe of Judah. So let's go a little bit into the crazy story of Moab.
Okay.
We're going to connect some dots.
I'm ready. I'm thinking.
And this is a family show, so we got to be a little bit, careful.
Okay.
So Moab is in the biblical story. There's a guy named Lot. Lot is Abraham's nephew, and and Abraham's going to adopt Lot. Thinking about adopting Lot because Abraham does not have any kids, and that's a big deal. He doesn't have any child to pass on, nothing at all. And what he's really looking for is a male heir, so the patriarchal system could continue.
Yep.
And while today we put a pause on patriarchal systems, back in those days, that's how families were protected and cared for and all that kind of stuff. So, again, let's not bring a pre-modern Middle Eastern culture and drag it into our culture and try to compare it and go, shame, shame, shame. Right. It doesn't work that way.
Yep.
Because somewhere down the road in the year 4000
BC. Well, we haven't said we haven't
BC. No, 4000 AD.
No, that would be Almost 2,000 years from now.
Yeah, so 2,000 years from now, right?
Okay.
Somebody's going to go, boy, those people in 2025.
Oh, okay, I got it where you're going.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying, like, in 4,000 BC, like, you were going to tell me, like, this little nugget of something.
No, there's no nugget there. It's people are going to judge us by what we do.
Right.
2,000 years from now. So let's not try to drag them into our world. Hopefully they won't drag us into their world. They might do that. So Lot is Abraham's nephew. Lot ends up settling in a town called Sodom, and Lot has 2 daughters. And Lot and his family are escaping Sodom, and Lot gets out with 2 daughters. We know of 2, and they're not named. Here's the Jerry Springer part of it. These 2 daughters want to have kids. So they get, okay, we're just going to have to say it. It's in the Bible. So they get Lot drunk 2 nights in a row. And each one of them has relations with their father.
Or as they say in the Bible, they lay with you, right?
They lay, yeah, or they knew, okay, just let that sit there. And the eldest daughter, they both have sons. One becomes the leader of the Ammonites,
okay,
which isn't always friendly with Israel. The other son is named Moab. So
Moabites.
Yes. So that Moab settles in that part of the world and becomes a nation that exists pretty much up through the Roman Empire.
Okay.
And nothing really survives the Roman Empire for very long. So that's the backstory of Moab.
Got it.
In Scripture.
Yep.
Weird how that comes to be. Okay. So when Naomi and her husband and her 2 boys traveled to Moab, now they're traveling to what you think is a foreign land. And the 2 boys become married in Moab. So on the face of it, it looks like they're marrying foreigners, which was prohibited by Mosaic law. And the reason why the Israelites were told not to marry outside of their Israelite tribes or whatever was because of the fear of, or the temptation to worship other gods.
Yep.
It wasn't racial, it wasn't discriminatory, it wasn't any of that kind of stuff. It was because of the temptation that would come to worship another god, being married in a different family. So, but if you think about it, if the Moabites trace their line to Lot, and then trace their line back to Abraham, they might not be so foreign as you think.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's interesting.
Yep.
So the other interesting thing is that this family, Naomi and her husband and her boys, there's nothing for them in their own tribe.
Mm-hmm.
So they go outside their tribe, which is true. They go outside their tribe to Moab. And all of a sudden, there's this massive generosity. Who's going to give these immigrants? They're immigrants. They're aliens. Who's going to give these immigrants their daughters? I mean, they give them a place to live for 10 years. And they give them their daughters. It's an act of generosity that Naomi couldn't find back at home.
Back in Bethlehem.
Back in Bethlehem. They found a new house of bread. Not only that, but they found a new family. And her sons marry Orpah, and then they marry the famous Ruth.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to follow then Ruth and Naomi's story all the way through these chapters. So it's interesting that for some people, Naomi and her family are breaking the law.
Mm-hmm.
They're breaking the law. They're marrying outside of their tribe or outside the tribes. And something interesting comes from breaking the law. If that's really what they're doing. Because you can make the case to go Lot, Moab, or Abraham, Lot, Moab, and maybe they're not breaking the law. So,
and that's something, though, that they would be aware of, being that they were Israelites.
They would have been very well aware of that. Yeah. But they weren't. They fought each other. Well, the tribes fought each other.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get to King David, that's the whole thing. They're fighting each other. So this family's just struggling to get along. Just like our families are today. They're struggling to get along. So, but that's what I have for today.
Wow.
How'd we do on time?
We did pretty good. Yeah, we were at about 20-ish, 22, 23 minutes. Hey,
job.
Fine. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So when you only deal with like 2 verses of Ruth, you can go 22 minutes. Next week we're going to deal with a lot more. So we'll go a little longer.
We can make up for time that we've saved on this one.
Yep. So one of the things we talked about is coming back in season 2, right? We wanted to be able to open up more questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we want you guys to send in your questions to, maybe you can even stump the pastor.
Stump the pastor. There we go. Yeah.
I mean, we could try it.
It might not be that hard.
No, it might not be that hard. Yes. Yeah, it's exciting to be back in the saddle here and going for season 2.
Let's just hope my allergies and my red eyes get fixed by next time.
You think it has something to do with the weather, though? I assume
think it's
with
the stuff.
It's just, I mean, it's still warm and it's dry and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like you need that freeze to come in.
And they're working on our street.
Oh,
we've had a gravel road. We've been driving a gravel road for the last month.
Yeah, that wouldn't help.
So we may have to change the filters in the house, but yeah.
Right. Well, hopefully you do feel
good.
better soon. That's good.
Hello. All right.
Well, thanks again for coming in and listening to this first episode of season 2. We look forward to having you along this journey that we take on this next season. You can reach out to us here at communications@popmn.org, whether it's a question that you want to ask or just any comments or anything like that. We'd love to hear from you. And we're hoping for a great season here. You can like and subscribe both on YouTube, and we are on Spotify as well. So if you need a place to listen to it, you can listen to us there. Thanks again for being here, and we look forward to this continuing season together.
The A-team is back.
We are, definitely.
We'll miss Darren, but the A-team is back. That's
yes,
good.
Yeah.